I would like to pay tribute to a wonderful, sensitive, and generous man who was loved dearly by his fans, fellow filmmakers, and, of course, his family and wife, Sharon. That man is the horror filmmaker and champion of independent film, Andrew Jones, who passed away after a long and courageous struggle against a cruel and debilitating illness. He passed away at 5:20 in the morning on Sunday, January 15th, 2023. His beloved wife Sharon described Andrew as my husband, my best friend, lover, creative soulmate. My relationship with Andrew was much simpler. We were both indie filmmakers working within the genre. And I say British indie filmmakers, but to be more specific, he was Welsh and I was Scottish. We both started our film companies more than 10 years ago, working with our closest loved ones to produce horror films for the enjoyment of most folks. But as independent filmmakers, we also face the enormous challenges of a tumultuous and unpredictable industry. There are only a few methods of survival working within independent film. If you're not a BFI lovey with an uncle in the BBC, chances are you're going to have to work hard. And that's just to survive within the creative industries. Hard work is precisely what Andrew did, producing a vast number of low-budget horror films that graced British supermarket shelves. His films also received ample distribution in the US and Europe, particularly Germany. We'd both experienced certain levels of success, which somehow allowed us to grow our companies and develop further. But no success in this British indie film industry can come without a lot of love, friendship, support, and trust. You see, filmmakers don't always talk to each other when they should. I began chatting with Andrew in 2015, and can you guess what we talked about? Our favourite horror films? Who wins out of Jason v Freddy? No. Finance, tax schemes, funding, film budgets. Those are the kind of sensitive subjects that stay inside a producer's little black book. But Andrew was a man with a big heart. He only wanted to help other filmmakers. He was so forthcoming about his strengths and so self-deprecating about his vulnerabilities, personally and commercially, that you couldn't help but respect and experience great affection for him. He taught filmmakers and shared his negative experiences to help others avoid the same issues. And he was a success. The distributors whom he produced his films had enormous faith in his abilities. I should know because whenever our company discussed any potential co-productions with them, they'd panic at the prospect of Andrew not being involved. You see, he was their linchpin because he had successfully devised low-budget film concepts that performed exceptionally well in the commercial and especially the VOD and DVD space. None of this ever went to Andrew's head. He was the cuddly bear of film producers. A good man, a damned good man. While Andrew expressed admiration for the artsy, quality and the production values of our films, I expressed delight and respect for the candid, retro, comical and macabre nature of his own productions. Andrew's films were divisive among many horror fans because half of them are idiots and because some expected them to be studio budget movies. After all, that's how they'd sometimes get marketed, and goodness knows I've experienced the pain of mis-selling by distributors as well. Whether you enjoyed or didn't enjoy Andrew's films, everyone can agree that it took extraordinary talent and effort to produce so many that were so successful. Personally, I had great affection for Andrew's films, especially those that reminded me of Charles Band's work. In fact, one can almost say that Andrew Jones was the Charles Band of Britain. I've seen all his Robert the Doll series of horror films, the films for which he's most known, and enjoy them in the same way as I do the original Puppet Master films. Beyond those, he also produced horrors and thrillers based on the murderous terror of real-life serial killers, and even science fiction epics. His company, North Bank Entertainment, produced films which were sold in the hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands, and more. Yet the unenviable challenge of working in independent film right now in the UK meant that he never really got a fair shake from all the hard work he'd done. The man made a lot of money for a lot of people. I only wish he'd been allowed to keep more of what he'd earned for so many others. And the deterioration in his health led to a sudden loss of income from which disasters heaped themselves upon one another. His wife Sharon led a campaign to raise funds for Andrew's care, and it did raise a substantial sum, but nothing can replace the health or life of a loved one. It is my deepest regret that we had lost contact during early COVID, at least before his illness manifested itself, and it was with profound shock that I learned of his passing away, and I had only heard rumours of his ill health which I did not attribute to anything so devastating as what he was living through. I would like to offer my love and thanks to Andrew Jones and his family and friends for all the films and wonderful art that they brought to the world. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak with Andrew and experience just a fraction of the wonderful person he was and the huge potential he had yet to deliver to the world. His memory will live on in the films he created and in the memories he made with filmmakers, creatives, family, and friends from around the world. One day, we'll have that beer, Andrew, somewhere else.